What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Again, a huge thanks for coming back. We really appreciate you. So in today's video, we're going to be working again on this gray OBS and hopefully finishing the axle swap that we're working on for this thing. Okay guys, so we've got this truck about ready for the axle, and this is kind of my setup that I'm going to try and hopefully it works out. So we have the radius arms ready to go, our BDD radius arms, and then we've got the axle on a couple pallets, and then I've got this pallet jack that I'm going to try and remove to make sure that it doesn't hit the body of the truck. But we're basically just going to lower this down, install the radius arms, install the track bar, and that should be enough to keep it on the truck. It's gonna obviously droop some, but with the way that these things are set up, it's only gonna droop so much, but it's gonna be on the truck. And obviously until we secure it, I might throw a ratchet strap on it just to keep it up, you know, not have it fully droop down. But that's basically gonna be, for the most part, the front end. We've got our coil buckets, our track bar bracket, our sway bar brackets. Obviously, like I said, we did our gearbox, radius arm brackets, radius arms. So yeah, pretty much good to go on the front end. We obviously still gotta button up everything, do the steering on the axles and all that stuff. But again, pretty happy with the way how everything's turning out. And like I said, hopefully this works out. I've actually been thinking a lot on how to do this a little bit easier. And what I've kind of come up with, or kind of thinking that I might do, is you can buy those, oh man, I don't know what they're called, but those kind of like scissor lift tables. And I'm gonna try and find the heaviest duty one that I can find, and make a little jig or platform that we can secure the axle to that table. That way we can just kind of come in here with the axle, you know, go up with the table, set it in place, lower the table, and the axle should stay on the truck without having to mess too much with the lift going up and down and all that stuff, because honestly I don't like it. So if we can do the going up and down with the table, that'd be a lot easier. Now obviously we could also do that with the forklift, but the forklift requires a lot more space and it's not as precise to, you know, mess around with. So if we can do that with that table, you know, like I said, that would be way easier. So but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, lower the truck onto the axle and get all of this hooked up, and we should be good to go. First project that we tackled was making these, I guess, adapters or whatever you want to put call them, lift pig points or whatnot. So the one problem that I knew that I was gonna have using a 2-post lift with these trucks, especially doing the axle swap, was the fact that the radius arm brackets need to go in about the same spot that the lift needs to go. And I know that a lot of guys use the body mount to lift these trucks up for that same reason. Now, I didn't feel too comfortable doing that, but I knew that I had to pick it up from there. So instead of just making an adapter, to lift it up specifically from the body mount, what we did is make this contraption right here that essentially braces off the bottom of the frame and also uses the body mount. As you might have seen by that intro clip, we've got these plates coming to the bottom of the frame, and then another smaller plate going to the side of the frame, and we've got it secured with a couple of bolts right here, just to make everything extra secure. We made this little landing pad for the 2-post lift arm, and this makes me feel way more secure, way more sure about using a 2-post lift on these trucks. The only thing that I'm not 100% sure of is how it's going to fit on every single, OBS, because I mean I can imagine that there's probably some differences. There's always a little bit of variances with these frames. On some of them it might not hit all the way on the body mount, so we'll have to see. And this is the first rendition of everything. It was kind of a proof of concept. So we are going to go back and redo this again a little bit better with a few improvements that I've thought about now. But again, this feels like a way better setup now. Also, I guess a progress update. Oh, and also these things, basically, I'm gonna when we're tearing apart the truck, I'm still gonna pick it up from behind the leaf spring mount. Once we have it all stripped off, that's when we're gonna use this thing. Because it does use 2 of the bolts that the old shackle mount used. But now with that out of the way, as you can see, we've got, for the most part, the whole front end pretty much finished. We have a couple little things that we gotta hook up the drive shaft, do the shock, do the face plates, and the last coat of spray paint on them to make sure everything's nice and fresh. We gotta set the caster angle with the radius arms. But for the most part, the front end is pretty much done. So what we're going to focus on now is the rear end. And we're going to start by getting this axle set up and ready to go. And the first thing that we got to do is cut off the driver's side shock mount. And we're going to replace it with our new shock mounts that we came up with a little while ago. So now the reason why you need to replace, or you need to modify your shock mount, which it's basically the only part of the swap that you are gonna need to, use your grinder, use a welder. Other than that, everything else is pretty easy, pretty bolt on. But the main reason is why we got to do this is because, as you can see, these 05 Plus Super Duty axles, well, I think it's also the 99 and up, have one shock facing the correct way, which is to the front, and then another shock facing to the rear, while the OBS trucks have both shocks facing to the front. So what you need to do is at least get this shock cut off and have a new one welded on, a new shock mount welded on that faces the correct way, like that other one does. If you guys need these things, they are live on the website. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead, use the old cut-off wheel, remove that mount, and like I said, weld our new one back in, get the axle painted, and start removing the rear leaf springs and hangers and all that stuff for that truck, because it is also going to be getting our OA Plus leaf spring hanger kit. Okay guys, so we have the original shock mount removed, and I guess I should have shown you this before I removed it. What I like to do, so I know where to locate this once we cut that one off, is I actually, as you can see right there, maybe, we do a little punch, a little locating mark for the center of this shock tab. Another thing that I do before I remove the old one is I actually take the new shock tab, and then we're gonna match up the hole to the old one. Take an angle finder like that one, get my angle, write it down. Then once we removed the old shock mount, we're gonna take the new one, match it up to the center right there, make sure that we have the correct angle with our angle finder, and you can go ahead, tack it in place, weld it. On this particular one, I did a few locating marks on it. That way our buddy Jose can go ahead and weld it in place, which is what we'll do next. After we're done welding that, we'll go ahead, clean this entire axle, get it painted. guys, we got the 37s for this thing, and they barely fit in the daily, but we got it. As you can see, we've got the front end pretty much completely done, other than a couple little things. So what we're gonna move on to now is the rear end. And like I've mentioned, we are doing our full rear end kit as well with OB8 leaves on this thing. So that's gonna be the next project. So I'm gonna go ahead, tear all this stuff off of the truck, and I actually have the kit right there. So we're gonna install our rear OA plus leaf spring swap on this truck, and at that point we'll pretty much be done with this whole thing. Oh, and the last thing that we're actually going to be installing on this thing is going to be our new brake lines. So like I've been mentioning, we are trying to get brake lines made for these trucks. I finally found a shop that I like to be able to make them. So they're making a set for this truck right now, and we're going to try them on. Hopefully I like everything, it fits the way that I want it to. And if that's the case, then we'll have them available for you guys too. That way you have a full complete kit from us with brake lines and everything that you can purchase separately if you like. We would add it onto the kit, but obviously we would have to raise the price of the kit, and we're trying. I mean, times are a little tough right now for everybody, so we're doing our best to keep prices as low as we can keep them. So again, it'll be an add-on option in case you guys want it. If not, like I've been saying for the longest time, you can use the 05 through 07 lines. You can make them work on these trucks. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start tearing apart that rear end. So now the next part of the process is definitely the hardest, which is removing the rivets that are holding the hangers in place. There's many ways that you can do it. For me, the best and the easiest is using an air hammer with a chisel bit to remove the head, and then a punch to drive it out. If you don't have access to an air hammer or a compressor, you can use a grinder to cut an X on the head of the rivet, and then use a chisel to cut the head off, and then a punch to drive the rivet out. We're gonna put on our glasses and our earmuffs because it is loud. Okay guys, so now we're to the fun part. We removed the old hangers, the rivets. Now we get to start installing the hangers. Now there's a couple things that I want to show you. There's a couple bolt holes that you're gonna have to enlarge. Again, like I said, there's no new holes that you gotta drill other than just one, and that's for the driver's side for the parking brake. So let me show you that real quick. Okay guys, so we've got the front hanger pretty much fully installed. The last part we got to do is our e-brake bracket, which is this little deal right here. It already has a captured bolt in it, so we're just gonna simply install that like that. A 1/2" bolt that's gonna go through there, and that's what's gonna hold this little bracket in place. Alrighty guys, so this is the last bracket we're gonna install on the frame. It's the rear shackle hanger. This is one that you gotta watch out for and make sure that you are putting the correct one on the right side, because the driver's side will bolt onto the passenger side and vice versa. But it's pretty easy to tell them apart. As you can see, the actual part of the hanger that the shackle bolts onto is not centered in on the bolt pattern. You want it to be offset towards the rear, towards the tailgate of the truck. So this is obviously the driver's side, so it's gonna sit like this, offset to the rear. Again, you don't want to put it this way, offset to the front on the driver's side, because it'll really throw off your shackle angle. You want it to be looking like this. Okay guys, so one of the hardest parts of doing this install is getting these top 2 nuts on these 2 bolts in. The easiest way that I found so far to do it, if the bed's still on, is using a wrench with tape holding the nut like we have it set up right now. So what we're gonna do is, you first want to try and get your washer in. So that's pretty doable. And then once you have a washer in, you want to go ahead and kind of try and match your bolt to your nut over here. There we go. Now if you want, because you're already holding it, you can go ahead and tighten it. Just like that. Alrighty guys, so I'm gonna show you a quick update. We've got all of our rear hangers installed on the truck. So we've got the shackle hanger, the front spring hanger, same on the other side. We got them all installed. But unfortunately for today, we ran out of time. I wish that I could show you this whole thing done, but in the next video we'll have the truck completely done, back under its own weight, and we'll take it for a test drive, get it ready for our customer to come pick it up and take it back home. This truck's also going to be, I mean, it's going to be a pretty cool build. He's obviously just getting started with it. I believe it's getting a Cummins, you know, the whole 9 yards. It's going to be a super cool truck, and we're definitely really excited to have our BDD be part of this build. Next video will be completely getting done with this truck, and then we're gonna jump back on Bryce's truck and finish out that build too. That thing is so close to being done. We just got to figure out the rear end, get it on air, and it'll be good to go. But for today, again guys, a huge thanks for watching. Leave a like, leave any comments that you might have down below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you for the next one.